Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Bud Light. Well, Bud Light CEO Brendan Whitworth has figured out whose fault it is that they've lost more than $27 billion worth of market value, that their sales are down 31.1% compared to that same week 1 year ago. He's figured out whose fault it is that nobody likes Bud Light anymore. And of course, it's your fault. You're not thinking enough of the employees, and that's why they're in so much trouble. Dylan Mulvaney apparently does not completely agree. Dylan Mulvaney blames Bud Light for not standing by Dylan through the whole controversy. Additionally, Dylan Mulvaney today in a video announced it was Bud Light who contacted Dylan Mulvaney through one of their marketing agencies called Captive 8, which we've heard about before, and now it's confirmed, to do this silly video and this ridiculous promotion that completely rebranded and destroyed their brand. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. Really appreciate you guys. I'm trying to get to 25,000 subscribers, so if you can subscribe, please do subscribe. Okay, coming first from Fortune magazine, Bud Light boycotters decimating sales over Dylan Mulvaney promotion should think about employees, Anheuser-Busch CEO Brendan Whitworth says. Well, you know, that's kind of a sleazy trick to try to say, oh, look at the poor people that you're trying to hurt. In fact, they're doing ads for this. They've released new ads featuring employees, trying to make you feel like, hey, you know, what am I doing here? These poor, nice employees, they're good people. They're just regular, hardworking people like me. Why shouldn't I buy Bud Light? Why shouldn't I drink Bud Light? Well, the reason is it's not your fault. And I'm sure all of these employees are really nice people. It's the fault of the company that makes the marketing decisions. The only marketing fiasco that has any similarity to this in known human history, as far as I can tell, is when Coke decided they would create new Coke, which would taste sweeter and more like Pepsi. This was in the 1980s. It really was a major mistake where they actually changed the formula for Coke and changed the marketing, calling it New Coke, and the pushback from consumers was immense. Well, guess what they did? They went and they fixed the product, they fixed the branding, and consumers were happy when they saw it was fixed, and they bought Coke more than ever. Everything was fixed, everything was fine. But of course, that does require the company, the manufacturer, to actually take responsibility for what they did, fix it, and then try to make sure that customers know that they fixed it. In the case of Bud Light, it's so much worse that they won't actually apologize for what they did because they rebranded the beer. So there's really no way to fix it. They could create a new brand, but this brand is what it is. It's the Dylan Mulvaney brand now. Brendan Whitworth wants Bud Light boycotters to blame him for the faithful Dylan Mulvaney promotion and not punish the 65,000 people whose livelihoods depend on Anheuser-Busch. Speaking to CBS on Wednesday, the former U.S. Marine and CIA spy, he was a recruiter. He wasn't a spy for the CIA. Turned CEO of America's largest beer brewer said the buck stopped with him when it came to the disastrous promotion with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney. Quote, one thing I'd love to make extremely clear is that the impact is my responsibility. Yes. When you are the CEO of a company, you are responsible. When you are the manager of a business, you are responsible for the people under you at the smallest level and the largest level. That goes without saying. So he's just making a statement of fact here. As the CEO, everything we do, I'm accountable for. Well, that's correct. He said that in the interview, which he reposted to LinkedIn, but not before disabling comments on the post. See, that is the problem. You have to open yourself up when you say you're responsible. You don't just say, well, I'm responsible. Now nobody can say anything bad. It's like, no, if you're going to say you're responsible, then you are the go-to person where people get to say what they want to say in response to you taking responsibility, supposedly. Quote, it's the impact, honestly, on the employees that weighs the most on me, he continued, urging people to drink Bud Light during the upcoming July 4th weekend. While Anheuser-Busch has sought to minimize the role Mulvaney played in its strategy, Whitworth reaffirmed the company would not change its stance toward its partnerships. Quote, Bud Light has supported LGBT since 1998, so that's 25 years. And as we've said from the beginning, we'll continue to support the communities and organizations that we've supported for decades, he said. He may have sought to shield his staff from the fallout of the promotion, but he did not explicitly apologize for partnering with Mulvaney either. A number of consumers had claimed this official acknowledgement of a mistake was a prerequisite for winning back their business. Well, everyone says that because we're mostly a bunch of normal people here. Everyone knows right from wrong. You have to at least start by doing right, and you can't just keep doing wrong. But because he made this statement yesterday, and it was picked up in a lot of places where he said, well, we're going to support LGBT. We believe in LGBT. That's what we're all about. This was from NBC News. Anheuser-Busch CEO says his company will continue to support the LGBT community, and that's fine. I don't care if they've done it for a year, they've done it for 100 years. If that's what they want to do, that's their business. They have to own it, but they also have to realize they did business with Dylan Mulvaney. Dylan Mulvaney, of course, is a bit of a grifter, basically just hustling for money. For Dylan Mulvaney to destroy $27 billion worth of value in their stock and cause all kinds of other chaos, you would think Dylan Mulvaney would have thought of a way to cash in better than this by now. But Dylan Mulvaney put out a video today explaining how much Dylan loves beer and how Dylan always has loved beer. And Dylan Mulvaney is unhappy with Bud Light because they did not stand by Dylan during this whole fiasco. But in addition to that, Dylan, because Bud Light's people are honestly so incompetent, they let Dylan come out with how Dylan was approached by Bud Light corporate to actually do this video promotion. It wasn't like Dylan did this on their own or there was some kind of a mistake. Here's what Dylan said. They also explained that Bud Light approached Dylan for the sponsored video, which is something that the company denied, claiming it was an external agency on their behalf. Now, it really doesn't matter if it was Bud Light corporate or if it was an agency representing Bud Light, but to explain the history of how this all took place is important for customers because we keep getting inundated by these new messages from Bud Light. They're begging customers to come back. It still exists as a big story in the culture as this unhealed wound. And the reason why is they've never just leveled with people and said, look, here's what we were trying to do. We thought it would be a good idea, so we gave our people authority to go and do this. They contacted Dylan Mulvaney. Mulvaney made the ad, and then when it went bad, we just did not know what to do or how to respond without offending the LGBT community and without offending our regular customers, so we just didn't say anything, and then those employees went on leave. The employees like Alyssa Heinerschied and her boss Daniel Blake going on leave has nothing to do with actions really taken by Bud Light. They're allowed to go on leave if they want to. There are federal laws that allow them to do that, especially working for a company with more than 50 employees. That was their choice. It wasn't like the Bud Light people fired them or apparently forced them to go on leave. That said, the Bud Light people will ask you for your money. They will ask you for your business. They will ask you to forgive them, but they will not give you a straight story. So now you've got to hear from Dylan Mulvaney. And now they have to go over to grifter Dylan Mulvaney and make peace with Dylan Mulvaney, probably write Dylan another check because Dylan sees an opportunity. There's a lot of money being spent on marketing to try to get Bud Light back into the marketplace. And Dylan is sitting there saying, hey, if you support LGBT people, go write a check. And that's what they're facing. Analysis by Deutsche Bank suggests that while 21% of Bud Light consumers are buying more beer, another 18% have scaled back their purchases. Roughly a quarter have stopped buying the beer altogether due to the promotion with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney. That is very interesting that regular Bud Light customers are buying more. Some are. The prices were cut. There are some free promotions for the beer, but there's also this massive word of mouth going around. And it's true that people are frustrated with Bud Light and don't want to buy it, but for the people that do want to buy it and are willing to buy it and don't care about the controversy or support Dylan Mulvaney, those people are hearing about Bud Light in common conversation that many more times, which makes them buy more of it. It's additional free marketing for them. Of course, it does not make up for all the lost sales. However, it does help them with that 21%. Whitworth and brand head Todd Allen are now hoping a new campaign will resurrect sales after demand dropped like a rock amid the controversy. As part of it, investments for the brand are set to triple this year, including spending across sports, primetime, and cable television. Whether that will be enough is questionable. Quote, "It's insulting that you think about an ad about summer will make us forget our principles. The boycott continues," wrote conservative podcaster Liz Wheeler last week, demanding an official apology. The CEO admitted dealing with the boycott was causing him more gray hairs, but said he loved working for an institution like Anheuser-Busch is 1 degree of separation away from the American flag. Whitworth may be under intense pressure to rectify the situation that risks getting out of control, but he certainly isn't the only one in the firing line. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Do you think that you really should be sitting there worried about the Bud Light employees? There are 18,000 Bud Light employees, 47,000 employees who work for their independent distributors. Is it your responsibility or my responsibility to make sure they have a job? Or is it their boss's responsibility to make sure they have a viable product that customers want to buy? At the very least, they could be honest with people, tell people what happened, and then apologize for insulting all the people that they insulted. By not apologizing, everything they do, even their advertising and their promotional events, come off as an insult. It's always taken in a negative way because it seems like they're not being honest with people. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Really appreciate you guys. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.